Hello, 7-footers. Welcome back to the playoff edition.
Conference Finals edition.
That's right, Jarod. I love how you're always there to pick me up when I need that boost.
All good, all good. We gotta
love
be
it.
charged today, man.
We do. We are going to barrel through these topics today because, admittedly, I was late. I will take full credit on the air today.
I mean, you're the error most days. Let's be honest about that.
Well, we don't need to get into that. But, Jarod, I really do. I have to tell you, and I'll get this on record on air right now. I appreciate you.
Listen,
you deal with me on a daily basis, and it's
listen,
not easy. It's not.
But who among us is easy to deal with? Let's be honest.
No, but you are my rock, and I will tell you that forever and always.
I appreciate that.
You are. So let's jump right into this, okay? We have the conference finals.
Mm-hmm.
Jarod,
yes.
It is exciting right now. Let's kick it off with the Eastern Conference Finals, Bucks versus Raptors. Game 1 is happening on May 15th, tonight
yeah.
as we are filming
It's going to tip off in like a minute or so.
We are going to number 1 versus number 2, Giannis Antetokounmpo
Yeah,
and Kawhi Leonard.
Woo!
Can I just say before I kick this off and badger you with questions that I am thoroughly impressed with the journey and the story of Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
Why do I say this? Because he played in 9 games last season.
Yeah.
9.
You were hating on him last year.
I was. I'll be the first to admit it. I was the most critical of Kawhi Leonard. Where is he? What's going on?
Right.
But I've accepted that this is his personality. This is what he does.
That's who he is, man.
But think about it. 9 games last season with the Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
2 now. He's leading the Raptors to potential championship.
But remember, when we saw him play
aspirations.
a last full season, so the year before last, he was leading the San Antonio Spurs. They were playing the Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference Finals.
Mm-hmm.
They were up 20 points in the fourth quarter. He gets his foot hurt by Zaza Pachulia, out for the rest of the series.
Yeah.
And many people say he doesn't get hurt, the Spurs might win that. And the Warriors' whole situation looks very different.
Exactly. And like we always say, make or miss league.
Make or miss
Things
league,
can
margins
happen
are thin.
in the blink of an eye. Now, can I ask you this?
Ask away.
So we have the Giannis-led Bucks,
Mhm.
Kawhi, Kyle Lowry
Mhm.
with the Raptors.
Yeah.
Who do you think is going to take this series? Do the Raptors have enough depth to compete with the surefire Bucks?
Well, so here's the thing, right? Like, we do this thing, and we talked about this last week, about the regular season and the playoffs and how largely we're like, oh, the regular season doesn't matter. It's about the playoffs. And that's true, but it's also not true,
No.
right? The Bucks have shown the kind of team they were all regular season long, right? Number 1 team in net rating, number 1 in defensive efficiency, number 3 in offensive efficiency. They were the best team record-wise all year long. Teams with those numbers, and I've said this in the past, at a minimum go to the NBA Finals. Usually they win it. Okay, that's one.
Yeah.
The Bucks were right on their heels at number 2 in the Eastern Conference, right? And that was with Kawhi only playing 60-something games, right? So in many ways, they're neck and neck in terms of their ability. Now, we saw some things last series, if you're a Raptors fan, that should make you disturbed. Those things being,
hit it with us.
If your name wasn't Kawhi Leonard, you weren't. I don't know who you were on that Raptors team. Lowry was in and out and ineffective most of that series.
He kind of is this time around.
Gasol, again, up and down. Siakam looked genuinely scared in Game 7, like late in the game. And to be fair, this is Pascal's first rise, and but late in that game against Philly, and we'll talk about Philly later on in the
battling injury as well.
Battling injury, but late in that game, he was hot potatoing it. He didn't want anything to do with that ball and was like, where's Kawhi?
Yeah.
To get rid of it. Listen, I get it. It's ratcheted up. It's the playoffs, but you cannot advance as the Raptors want to with Kawhi Leonard being your only player.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to need help. And Siakam's going to have to play, maybe not at the same level he was all season, but pretty close to it.
Yeah.
Lowry and Gasol have to be net positives for the series. I'm not saying they got to average 20 points a game because that's probably not happening, but they have to be net positives. If they're negatives, problems. They're going to get swept. That's just what's going to happen.
Not to mention Malcolm Brogdon hasn't come back yet. So.
And, well, he's back from Milwaukee. And Serge Ibaka.
But I mean, like in the series with the Raptors is what I'm saying.
Serge Ibaka has to also be a guy that Kawhi can rely on because he has big game experience from his years with the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Absolutely.
So, do they have the pieces? Yeah, but those pieces have to play. Again, Ibaka's got to come up big because he's got the experience, and Lowry and Gasol have to be net positives. They have to be. And Siakam, close to what you were all regular season. Now, on the Bucks side of things, Giannis gonna Giannis.
Of course. And you've always said that.
But what's up with Chris Middleton, Brook Lopez, Malcolm Brogdon, Sterling Brown, all these guys? They're going to need, and listen, I love Nikola Mirotic.
You do.
Ersan Ilyasova. They've got good guys on Milwaukee. Guys with it seems like they have a lot more depth, and they can roll at least 8 deep.
Okay.
So if I have to make a prediction.
Yeah, hit me with it.
As you know, I picked this at the beginning of the season. I said the finals is going to be Warriors-Raptors.
You did.
So I have to stick with Toronto because that's what I picked. I'm going to say Raptors in 7.
I love how you say true to your word all the time.
Well, I mean,
I do.
look,
I love it.
Here's the thing, though. We have new information, and I could be like, well, the Bucks are just better, so forget it, the Bucks.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I picked Toronto start of the season. Going to stick with them, Toronto in 7. But again, I know Kawhi's going to be fine. Them other dudes, they have to do exactly what I said.
And we don't have to get in depth with it, but I just want to acknowledge the shot. The game-winning shot. The bouncing in the basket.
It was crazy.
Like how many times? Like 20 times?
It was crazy.
I'm being exaggerating a little bit. About 4 times bounced in the basket, and it went in. I'm not going to lie. I almost walked away from my TV and was like, all right.
Overtime.
it's overtime. I got a couple more minutes left of this game. And then boom, 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 in. And Kawhi... Emotion.
Well, but then, like after the game, and back to normal.
Back to the stone face.
Normal Kawhi. Here's what I'll say about that shot.
Was it a good shot?
Kawhi normally, the arc on his jump shot is typically flat. It's not as arcy as it was in that. And that was because Simmons contested and then Embiid, right? So he had to really, those are long arms to get it up and
on
out.
The move,
over,
catch and shoot,
right?
yeah.
And look, that you want the ball in the hands of your best player with it. I mean, so
of course.
We're all good with that. Back to this, this shot. Here's something interesting. From a target perspective, that shot went in, but it was an off-target shot, right?
Oh, of course,
because of the way in which it bounced.
I really did not think it was going
Whereas
in.
you see other shots go 3/4 of the way down the rim and pop out, which are more on target, right? So it's a weird thing when you look at like what's a make and what's a miss, right?
Yeah.
I always say margins very, very thin. Oh, another person I forgot to mention from Toronto that needs to step up, Danny Green. That he needs to find that 3-point shot.
Where was he though? Where has he been?
He's not been playing well.
Let me read you something that you probably already read, but I definitely want the listeners to hear that, and we'll wrap this up. But Raz Goldamwude tweeted this, and I found it beyond fascinating. Cool nugget from the Raptors, very international team.
They are.
Serge Ibaka speaks French to Pascal Siakam, Spanish to Marc Gasol, and English to the rest of the team. When Serge and Gasol doubled Joel Embiid, they would yell here where to help from in Spanish. So Joel, who speaks French, could not understand. That is fascinating to me.
Toronto's fascinating. A team with international flavor, right? I mean, so you have Pascal, who is from Cameroon, who's Cameroonian. He speaks French. As you mentioned, Ibaka played for the Spanish national team, which is why he speaks Spanish.
Yeah.
He's also from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, right? So I mean,
these
cool, guys are multilingual, and it's awesome.
Incredible.
And Masai Ujiri, their GM, right? A big believer in and a big proponent in the NBA's NBA Without Borders and making the program huge in Africa. And Masai was a big person that assisted in Giannis getting his citizenship, getting his passageway over to the United States.
I love that.
Right? So listen, as much as these guys are competitors and all that,
there's family ties.
There's family ties.
There really is.
This league, you have guys who want to help each other, and there's a sense of community among the international players, which I find incredible.
Very much so. Which is
early
comforting.
read on this game: Milwaukee up 8-6 in the first quarter.
Woof. Okay, we'll keep an eye on that one. Let's move on to the Western Conference Finals. Warriors and the Blazers. Now, Warriors lead the series 1-0.
Won last night. Yep.
Yep, won last night. Okay, 116-94. Not a close one.
Nope.
But at one point, it was close.
First half, yeah, it was.
Portland had it a little bit, but then Steph started knocking down almost a dozen threes.
Yeah, I think he had nine threes. He had 9 threes last night. Yep.
Right? So what can we take away from last night's game that Portland can really use to propel themselves through this series? Because Golden State, they don't even have Durant, and they still beat Portland. So what can Portland do to lock it down here?
Here's the first thing Portland needs to do. Their strategy on the Steph Curry pick and roll, they got to scrap that because it didn't work. You can't have your big Enes Kanter lay back on the Steph pick and roll because that's a wide open three for Steph, and he's going to knock those down.
Yeah.
And you have to also think about it too. Game 1 after a long series prior to is always that feel out series.
For sure.
And for Golden State, this is like manna from heaven for them because the Rockets play the kind of game that you have to play to beat the Warriors, which is bang them and be physical.
They really do.
If you listen, and even still with all that, you might not beat them, but that is your best chance of beating the Warriors.
Yeah.
You bang Steph off you trap hard, you bump him every time he comes into action, you make him grind and work on defense. That's how you wear them down.
And no one, let's be honest, no one was guarding Steph on those threes.
No.
At least the first 8.
No. And so that's problematic. And 2,
extremely.
Portland just doesn't match up well with the Warriors.
It's an odd matchup.
It's an odd matchup,
a lot of ways.
and it favors the Warriors in many regards. And this is all without Durant, right? And they're still doing this. So what this says is this team is really good. I mean, if you're the Warriors and your best player's hurt, you couldn't have asked for a better series than the Portland Trailblazers, a team who you're not particularly concerned about.
Right.
Because their best 2 players, CJ and Dame, you're like, well.
And Dame hasn't been.
And Dame's been a little bit off with his shot.
Right.
And your best 2 players, without Durant, Steph and Clay, you're like, well, they're better than those 2, right?
Yep.
So if you do a straight 2-on-2, our guys are better than yours, so that kind of works. And then when you look at the other guys, I mean, on Portland, Al-Farouq Aminu, Mo Harkless, Evan Turner, none of these guys can do anything to impact or affect the Warriors.
No.
Where Draymond Green can roam and be a wreck everywhere defensively.
Down in the paint, real tough, banging you
Now,
out.
If Nurkic was still healthy, it might have been a little different. Who knows?
A little more even down below.
But he's not, so this is what we got.
Exactly.
So, Zach Collins is going to have to step up. Guys who have not really been on that stage before. This is going to be a tough series for Portland. I'm going to be honest.
It is, but it's going to be an extreme learning experience, though.
For sure. Here's what I think.
Let's hear it.
The Warriors obviously play differently without KD, right? They play back how they used to play in 2015. That's that nostalgia thing that all the Golden State Warrior fans love. It's how we were back in the day.
No,
but let's
be serious.
Let's make no mistake. This team is not better without Kevin Durant. And if they think they're going to win, they're not winning a 3rd title without Kevin Durant because there's no way they beat Milwaukee or Toronto without Kevin Durant. You have no chance. None. So, because again, the best player on either of those teams are wing guys, Giannis and Kawhi. Well, if no Durant, who's your wing on Golden State? Right.
Questions.
Right.
Question marks.
Question marks. Right? So that's sort of where your problem is. Again, Blazers got to be better with their strategy on pick and roll. Enes Kanter, I get it. You don't want him on Steph in space, but having him drop back so far off, again,
no one's guarding him.
A wide open three is like almost a layup,
and
right?
the thing with Steph is, though, he doesn't have to come to the line for a wide open 3. He can shoot behind the arc real far, down deep, and that's the problem. No one was guarding him during that game. And you need to come up pressure on Steph because
without question.
He's not another ordinary player.
What I think Portland's going to probably do in Game 2 is trap Steph a little bit more and get the ball out of his hands and see
double team,
and see what happens there. Obviously, that means you'll have Clay to worry about and other guys. But look, again, if you're playing them, and again, there's no Durant on the floor, your mindset has to be, let anyone besides Steph Curry beat me, right? I mean, that's got to be how you play this.
For sure.
So,
I mean, KD's going to be evaluated.
On Thursday.
What's your prediction,
And
though?
honestly, this is a kind of, again, Golden State looking like they're in the catbird seat. If they win tomorrow night and go up 2-0, it really doesn't matter it doesn't matter what their evaluation on Durant says, because Kerr and the medical staff's going to be like, you know what? we could probably sit him out another game, to game 3 or 4.
That's
because we could possibly sweep these guys. Now, I do think they're going to want to get him to get at least a game in this series before the finals, so he's not coming back into the finals, not having played in like 2.5 weeks.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
So, but otherwise, look, I made this prediction. I think Golden State in 6. I know I just said how terrible Portland was. I'm going to give Dame and CJ
another chance.
A shot where they get cooking from 3. And, the Warriors do their inevitable, we're not playing seriously and hard, and they screw around, have a bunch of turnovers, and throw a game away. Right?
Exactly.
But I really don't see this being a tough 6-game series, if it even goes 6.
Not at all. All right, let's move on here because we just had the draft lottery, okay, on May 14th. A lot of crazy results here. A lot of people expected the Knicks to take the number 1 pick, but they did not because the New Orleans Pelicans won. Okay?
Wow.
The top spot here, baby.
Wow.
Now, do you want me to go down the list for you, Jarod, or how do you want to play this?
Well, let's talk about New Orleans for a second.
Okay. This gives them a little bit of leverage to keep Anthony Davis. It does.
Gives them leverage to keep AD. And the rebuild is going to happen a lot sooner than people thought in New Orleans, right? They've got the number 1 pick, so everyone knows it's going to be Zion Williamson, right? Here's the thing. Now you can say to Anthony Davis, hey, look, we got Drew Holiday. We got this great, everyone says, generational talent in Zion Williamson. We can do some things here, Anthony. Why don't you, because look, regardless, everyone is like, oh, well, he wants to trade. That's all well and good. Yeah. He's under contract for this season. So New Orleans doesn't have to do anything. They can keep him.
Exactly.
They don't have to move him at all.
Yeah.
And their thing is, especially now with David Griffin being the head of basketball operations down in New Orleans. Remember on our pod all year, I talked about what a dumpster fire New Orleans was because you had football people running the basketball team. As you know,
did. I remember that
Gail
episode.
Benson, the Saints owner, is also the Pelicans owner.
Yeah.
Well, she now has a competent basketball man in David Griffin running basketball ops.
Yes.
Remember how the Saints medical staff was treating the Pelicans players?
I do.
What do football trainers know about basketball?
Nothing.
Well, guess what David Griffin did?
Not much, I mean.
Griffin hired all the Phoenix Suns basketball, he brought in all basketball people from the medical staff.
I love it.
So there's stability now within an organization. Basketball people in basketball jobs.
We back, baby.
Right? Mickey Loomis, get out of here. You go worry about the Saints. So now Griff is establishing a culture. And his goal is, okay, we get Anthony Davis. We get Zion Williamson. We keep Anthony Davis. We get some other pieces maybe in trade free agency. We figure out,
how we can make this happen.
Maybe we get Anthony in this culture and we're winning. And he's like, I don't know.
Maybe I want to stay.
He's like, are you sure you want to leave this and go to an unknown situation?
Exactly.
Maybe you want to stay.
Exactly.
So listen, and let's not fool ourselves.
No.
Luck plays a huge part in this, right?
Of course.
They were very lucky to get the number 1 pick.
Very lucky. They weren't even expecting it.
They were not. And so that's a big win for them. So, and if for whatever reason, Griff is still getting the vibe that AD is not going to be a happy camper and he wants to move, okay.
We still have the number 1 pick.
But you get a king's ransom for him. It's like, okay, now I get other younger players. I get more draft picks and more assets. So New Orleans is looking very pretty right now. And honestly, if I'm New Orleans, if I don't even want to trade him right now because, again, I want to see how he wants to mesh with Zion and Drew and everybody.
Yeah.
But if
maybe he wants to stay. You never know.
If he's really making that move, I say, okay, I want a haul back for him.
Okay.
I want this year's number 1, your number 1 pick. I want next year.
You want to set yourself up.
Because, again, we want to build for the future. New Orleans is looking pretty good right now.
Exactly. Okay, so let's move on to the second pick in the draft, Memphis Grizzlies.
So as you know, Jarod Jackson Jr., one of my
Your
favorite.
guy.
It's my guy.
Your
one
guy.
of my favorite players of last year's draft class. That's a cornerstone they have to build around there in Memphis. And with the number 2 pick, everyone's thinking about John Morant from Murray State, right? Because he's that kind of dynamic lead guard that, would be well to pair with a Triple J. Now, the question there is that, well, if you draft John Morant, that means Mike Conley's probably out, right? Now, Mike Conley's got a year left on his deal, and he's got a player option for $37 million, I believe, the year after that. Now,
yikes.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Yikes.
Here's the thing. I think if you decide John Morant's your guy,
okay,
you draft him, and then you could do a draft day trade, and you trade Conley, and maybe you get a wing player, because now you need a wing. You got Jarod Jackson Jr., who's your power forward, center type. I now need a wing guy. Who's my wing? Maybe I do, or can I get a free agent? I don't know. Memphis is not really
not the ideal destination team.
A high-on destination place. But I don't know. They have options. And look, or if John Morant's not their guy and they're sticking with Conley, but maybe Jarrett Culver is their guy from Texas Tech, but they know I don't need to draft him at 2. He'll probably be on the board at 5 or 6. Maybe they trade down with someone like Cleveland. Maybe Cleveland wants John Morant, or maybe the Phoenix Suns want John Morant because they need a point guard to pair with Devin Booker.
Yeah.
So you trade down to 6 because you think that that your guy will still be, like Culver will still be on the board. You get Phoenix's 6th pick, and you get some other pieces. Maybe you get Josh Jackson. Who knows? There are a lot of different options that teams can do. Everyone is saying this is a one-player draft with Zion Williamson, and we do that all the time. Look, even with Zion, as much as I understand what people are saying, I still need to see what he's going to be in this league, where he's paired, what system he's in. Because look, I get it. He's 6'6", he's 288. I get all that.
My problem
He still doesn't shoot it that well. His handle's not that tight, okay? So there's still question marks in his game.
He also, amen to that, he also has a lot to learn. And the thing that I don't like about this, like you said, one-pick draft, everybody is speaking like Zion, and I'm not downgrading any of his talent. I mean, he's one of the greatest players I've seen since LeBron James.
Right.
But everybody's using his name and throwing it around like he's the one fix wonder for everybody's problems.
Right.
That is not the case.
No.
Like you said, he needs to come in. He needs to mesh with a team. He needs to mesh in a position and really develop his NBA skills. Yes, he was fire at Duke, but this is a different stage.
And the big thing is, everyone's saying, oh, best college prospects or best NBA prospects since LeBron James.
People are saying that, yes.
Okay. I mean, you do realize since LeBron James, we've had Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis. I mean, look.
Well, because people don't associate everyone.
Zion would be lucky to have Kevin Durant's career.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he would be. That's just a fact, right? We have no idea if he's going to ever be as good as Kevin Durant or as good as Anthony Davis is right now. No idea. So I think, again, everyone needs to slow down and pump the brakes. I'm not saying he can't be great. I'm saying this idea that, oh, you draft him, automatic, you're winning titles. Please. As you know, you don't win championships with one person, right? Clearly.
No, it's a team effort.
We saw it with LeBron James. You don't win by yourself. You need other people around you and things to go the right way, the right development, all those things. Am I saying he won't develop? No. We have to see what it's going to be first.
Exactly.
So everybody calm down on that.
Exactly.
The Knicks.
Next up, we have the Knicks. Followed by the Lakers.
Yeah.
And then I think I'll tell you the rest of the list after that. But let's talk about a little bit
So the
here.
Knicks, look, obviously the Knicks fans are disappointed.
Knicks fans are very disappointed.
They were hoping they were going to get the number 1 pick, trade that for Anthony Davis the whole 9. That's not to be. Now, all your hope is not lost if you're a Knicks fan. Because if
Tell us why, Jarod, because everybody thinks hope is lost.
If you believe, as all the rumors we're hearing and people around the league, that Kevin Durant is coming here in the offseason as a free agent.
Everyone's saying that.
Everyone's saying it. So
sources, everyone. Durant and Kyrie. More Durant.
More Durant than Kyrie. We don't know
what
is. So it's Durant and someone else. We don't know who that someone else is. Okay, look, if you get Kevin Durant, another superstar, guess what? You're in good shape.
Yeah.
Even if you get Kevin Durant by himself,
you're
still in pretty good shape. Okay? Because you've got 2 max slots. And what you can do with that is you can build a good team around Durant and draft a good player at number 3. Maybe you draft a John Morant, or maybe you draft RJ Barrett, Who knows?
Hey, everyone, in my opinion, I'm going to say this from day one. I look right in one of these million cameras that I'm looking at.
A million cameras up as usual.
RJ Barrett will be the steal of the draft. And everyone's sleeping on him because of his friend Zion. I get it. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm telling you, I'm going to say it right here. RJ's going to be my Trey.
You were big on Trey last year.
Every rookie draft, I pick one underrated guy that everybody is sleeping on.
Well, but is RJ underrated? He's not that underrated.
No, but not enough people are talking. If Zion was in the picture, who would be the Zion? RJ.
Okay, all right. So you're going to ride with RJ. Look,
I'm going to ride with RJ.
And RJ has some things he has to work on.
Of course.
Number 1, that shot needs to get better.
Yeah.
I don't have any questions about the form. The form looks fine. He's just not hitting them. He needs to be a capable NBA shooter.
It's not a Markelle Fultz situation.
No,
but...
thank God. Look, maybe again, if you're the Knicks and you have number 3, and none of those guys pique your interest, but you like someone later on down the, you trade down again and you pick up more assets because you know you're getting Kevin Durant, or you think it's almost a certainty, and you keep building.
What pick was Jason Tatum? He was
3.
down.
He was 3.
Oh, he was 3. Yeah.
He was 3.
So okay. So and look at that, how that ended up.
Well, how's Jason Tatum played this year?
But who was the number 1 pick?
Well, Markelle Fultz.
Exactly.
Well, again, so again, the draft is not an exact
never
science,
know.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
Great way to put it.
again, everyone seems to think that Zion, short thing, all that. Again, not saying that he can't be great, but let's not get crazy here. The Lakers. So
LeBron's happy with it. He tweeted.
Yeah, but that's more LeBron kind of doing his
Mind games.
Yeah.
Mind games.
What LeBron's really telling them is you need to trade that pick. Because, listen, LeBron is on year 2 of a 4-year deal. He is 34 years old. He's not getting younger. You know what LeBron doesn't like doing? Playing with young guys. That doesn't like it.
His son was young.
As I said, LeBron does not like playing with young guys. So he's not going to want to play with these rookies coming out of this draft. Get out of here. He's like, package it, trade it. Who can we trade to get it's another veteran? It's good. Now, here's what I think. He's going to still try to push to get that Anthony Davis trade. Again.
Can you imagine?
Well, one, I don't know that Griffin is going to trade Anthony Davis to the Lakers, number 1.
Because it's the only thing he has right now.
Right. Number 2, the Lakers may not be able to offer the best deal. Right? I mean.
Exactly. They have a lot of young pieces.
They have pieces and that pick, but who knows?
Yeah.
And again, I think the way that it went down with Davis last year, Gail Benson was really adamant about not trading him to the Lakers.
Yeah.
But now that Griff's in charge of basketball ops, he may be able to be like, look, this is the best deal. Here's what we're going to get, yada, yada. Who knows? So I don't expect the Lakers to hold on to that 4 pick. I expect that to be a trade to get someone.
Okay, well, staying on the topic of the Lakers, let's talk about this. They hired Frank Vogel as their head coach, okay, with Jason Kidd as the assistant. I love the Kidd addition, but does it make sense?
No.
Does it?
It's terrible. And here's why. So, first of all, let's back up a minute. The reason why Kidd is even in the picture is because he supposedly impressed Jeannie Buss and
He's a good relationship with
Kurt
LeBron.
Rambis so much that they were like, we're going to keep him. He does have a good relationship with LeBron. But here's the thing. So, as you know, Ty Lue was in the running.
Oh,
and,
I was really
and,
pulling
and
for him.
Ty didn't get it. And for 2 reasons. One, they only offered him a 3-year deal, which he was like, that's disrespectful. I want a 5-year deal. And 2, the Lakers insisted that Jason Kidd had to be on the staff. And Ty Lue was like, absolutely not. Now, Ty doesn't have any personal issues with Jason, but let's all be honest. For those of you that don't know, Jason Kidd is one of your more, how should I put this? Game of Thronesian type of characters when it comes to politicking and backroom dealing. Why would I want a guy on my staff who's going to be angling for my job and to become the head of basketball or the GM? That's a terrible idea.
Okay.
I don't want that.
Yeah.
And Ty Lue was like, absolutely not, because he knows.
He's a smart man.
He knows that was the situation in Milwaukee with Kidd. That was the situation in Brooklyn. Listen, he is someone who works behind the scenes. He being Jason Kidd, to gain power through, shall we say, nefarious ways, right?
Okay.
And that's not someone Ty wanted to work with. Yes, he's got a great relationship with LeBron, but Ty has a great relationship with LeBron, so he doesn't need Jason Kidd for that. The idea was, oh, well, Jason Kidd can help Lonzo Ball develop. Lonzo Ball may not even freaking be there. He might get traded with that
Exactly.
pick. Who knows? So, again, and this leads into a bigger situation about the Lakers, and I just...
It's messy.
That organization is being run like a mom and pop shop. And it's a multi-billion-dollar franchise. And look, I'm going to say something right now, and I want to be very clear about this. Again, Jeannie Buss seems like a very nice woman, and from everything I've heard, and wonderful. But Jeannie only trusts people that she knows. And
yeah, I mean, that's evident.
And that is somewhat...
That's why Magic,
But that's kind of problematic, because...
It's problematic, but it's great in other ways.
But it's bad in this way, because Linda Rambis, who is the EVP of Special Projects for the Lakers, is someone who she leans on heavily. We can call her consigliere, right? Well, now Linda Rambis has business acumen because Dr. Jerry Buss, Jeannie's late father, hired Linda very early on to help with the tennis and volleyball franchises he had under that under his company's umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
So she understands business. We don't know if she understands basketball business, though.
Well, that's the problem, yeah.
Right? And so she's involved in basketball decisions. Her husband, Kurt Rambis, who used to play for the Lakers, is also involved in basketball decisions. And again, and Rob Pelinka, who was Kobe's longtime agent, this Lakers exceptionalism needs to stop. Nobody cares about what you used to be back in the day. Like, that doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
The fact that David Griffin was available to be a head of basketball operations and GM, and you didn't even call him, that's not cool. Negligence.
Yeah.
Like, are you crazy? Look how well the Pelicans franchise has been stabilized.
Might as well call it.
Now, yes, of course it helps that they won the lottery and got the number 1 pick.
Of course.
But listen, he got rid of the Saints medical staff, brought in basketball. You need to reset and get your culture together because, newsflash, nobody cares about what you used to be back in the day. And Jeannie's under this assumption that the only people who can work for the Lakers are people who understands what it's like to be a Laker. That is ridiculous.
No, that's not.
That's crazy talk.
I get where she wants it to go,
I
but
understand.
it's not
But
that.
You're passing on qualified people because they don't have Laker ties. Oh, and guess who else is also part of this stuff? Her ex-boyfriend, Phil Jackson. Like, what is happening right now?
Another rendition of General Hospital, basically.
I mean, and it's a shame because that luster that she thinks is so great about the Lakers, you're tarnishing it by doing this. Tarnishing it. Again, nobody cares about what you used to be.
No.
That shouldn't be your guiding principle in how I hire people. You hire the best basketball minds, and then you get them. Because look, let's be honest. Are you sure the Lakers are getting top-tier free agents this summer?
No.
I know they got LeBron, but
no.
We sure about that?
We ain't sure.
What we're hearing about the Clippers. We're hearing about Brooklyn. We're hearing about New York. We hear anything about the Lakers?
I didn't hear anything about the Lakers yet.
Listen, I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Like, they have to be better, and this is. It's a shame because one of the great franchises in the history of this league. I mean, again, another year of missed playoffs.
It's bad.
I mean, and
missed playoffs.
And you have
the Pistons made the playoffs.
And you have LeBron James. I mean, come on, like, and he's not getting younger. Like, so the point of getting him is like, hey, how do we get this to roll and go right away?
Yeah, that's the point of getting him.
There's so many things here, and it's a shame because I grew up a Lakers fan. Magic Johnson's my favorite player, and what this franchise has been the last several years. Whew, yikes.
All yikes.
I want to talk about this Joel Embiid thing. We got to get into this.
Okay, let's talk about it. 76ers and Joel Embiid, as we know, they were knocked out of the playoffs. It was emotional. Game 7 loss to the Raptors.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you right now, in the last 3 minutes of that game, I would have bet my house on it. I thought the 76ers had that game until all of a sudden they just stopped playing. I mean, turnovers, missed shots, missed layups, everything. It's like they almost gave up. And I hate to say that because they have fought hard.
Right.
But, I mean, come on. At the end of that game, there were so many errors. I
mean, shot clock violations.
You can't get a shot off. And here's the thing. They're throwing the ball around. The ball movement, I don't care how quick it was. It wasn't efficient. It wasn't as fast as it should have been. It was sloppy. And they have J.J. Redick, who's a great catch-and-shoot shooter.
Right.
But come on. He was even getting tough shots.
They were, listen.
And shot clock violations, that's problematic. And that's mediocre at this point in the playoffs.
With that much talent on that roster.
Exactly.
some of that's on the players, some of that's on Brett Brown, the coach, who, by the way, is coming back.
He is coming back, and a lot of people were surprised about that.
They are, but look.
I'm not.
Elton Brand and Josh Harris are like, look, it went 7 games, which by definition means they were right there. A chance of going.
It's the players' problem at that point,
well,
in my opinion.
but look, I also think that, the sets that were run down the stretch weren't good enough. And look, I'm going to give Brett a little bit of leeway and say he didn't have enough time with this full complement of guys, right? Because that roster
got
changed.
him halfway through the season.
So, but still.
Tobias, Jimmy Butler.
I'll tell you this right now. They go to the second round again next year. He's getting fired. I'll tell you that.
Yes, yeah. Next year, yeah. This year, I didn't think so.
And it'll be interesting to see who they decide to bring back. I think it'll be Jimmy instead of Tobias, because Jimmy showed you this is where he's worth his money.
His bread and butter is in the playoffs in clutch moments like that. He won them. What was it, game 6, game 5?
Because Jimmy's not afraid, right?
No, not at all.
Jimmy's like, oh, we got to get a bucket? Cool. I'll go get a bucket.
Interesting thing about Jimmy, though. He recently said wherever he goes next or whatever happens, he deserves a max contract.
5 years, $190 million.
Does he?
He does.
All right.
He does.
My case.
Rest
my case.
He has proved that this is. Listen.
He has proved.
As Draymond Green says, there's 82 game players and there's 16 game players. 16, of course, being the amount of games you need to win a championship. Jimmy hasn't won one yet, but he has what it looks like the makeup to be someone who knows how to play in the highest leverage games. Those 16 games at the end of the season that lead you towards a title.
And let me just say, this is just my opinion, if Jimmy wasn't on the Sixers and he was on the Raptors and Kawhi wasn't there, he would have won that game. He would have had that shot. I'm telling you, it would have been the opposite way around.
So there are a couple of things here, right? So the Joel Embiid situation, everyone's talked about it, the crying. We actually we had a nice little Twitter chat about it.
We did.
With one of our buddies, Otis Harper from in the zone.
Otis had me going, man.
And so, Jenna, let's talk to us about what you thought about the Joel crying situation.
Okay,
post-game.
So after Game 7, as soon as the clock hit 0, Joel started crying. He was crying in the arms, I think, of Marc Gasol.
Marc Gasol, yep.
And then in the post game, backstage or back, you know what I mean, with his girlfriend crying.
Hallway.
Yeah,
and
back in the hallway. Yep.
Sports Illustrated swimsuit model.
Yes, absolutely.
Not a bad shoulder to cry on.
Yeah, not a bad one. Not the worst one you could cry on. But Joel Embiid, he's crying after the game as soon as the clock hits 0 in Marc Gasol's arms. I mean, he was emotional. And here's my thing. A lot of people came at me about this on Twitter, like our friend.
Yeah, Otis, yep.
Yes. He said he was coming at Joel for crying, and I inserted myself in the conversation, and I said...
He said Joel was soft.
He said Joel was soft. In my opinion, this is me, totally me, whatever. Crying in the game of basketball or any sport does not make you soft or weak. Being vulnerable does not make you weak. It shows how much you care. It shows your competitiveness. It shows you're willing to want to win. Tears and crying are not a bad thing. And if anything that we've learned from, especially this year, of the mental health talk being put into the NBA space as well as all sports space, crying isn't a bad thing. I don't care what anybody says. I really don't. I think it's a sign of strength.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's a sign of passion. If you're not crying after that loss, then do you care? I think that's what people should be talking about. Not like, yeah, I'm good, man. Let me post a video of me like jamming to like my rap beats in my car the next day because this is so great. No. If you cry, I'm with you, man. I got your Kleenex. That's it. I'm done.
So that was Jenna Lemoncelli, folks. That was her rant.
When I get mad, Otis, that's for you.
Otis, she's coming for you.
That's for you.
So, in a vacuum, I agree with you. Here's what I'm going to say. I agree 100%. Crying does not mean you're soft.
No. And you backed me on that, and I appreciate
I did back you on that. Crying does not equal soft.
You did.
Joel definitely cares.
Oh, he
does. Showing vulnerability does not mean you're soft. Like, we need listen, sports is obviously a very
to break down his hard exterior
environment, and people try to use anything they can to be like such and such is a sign of weakness, yada yada.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Allen Iverson cried all the time. Anybody say that dude's weak or soft?
Nah.
Like, so
nobody would ever say that,
right? That's what I'm saying. He's not soft, right? It has nothing to do with that. Here is where the problem lies in, however, with Joel Embiid, and why I think people are having an issue with him.
Yeah.
It's the fact that he was the one crying. Because Joel is the troll master.
Yes.
Loves to troll and bully people like Andre Drummond. Talk about Jared Dudley's a nobody. Like, right? Joel, so whenever it's that idea of, oh, you're the big bad bully. So when you lose and you cry, people are laughing and like, ha ha ha, we're so happy to see you fail, right?
Yeah.
And it's a double-edged sword, and that's that part. And we talked about this, and I said this on this podcast, that Joel, he's got to watch that, right? Listen, I love it. I love how he trolls people on Twitter and goes at them, calls them nobodies. And
he's an entertainer, and he said that in the past.
I love all that, but here's the thing. If you're going to dish it out, you got to be able to take it when it comes your way. And taking it comes in many forms. When you lose, hey,
you take it.
You got to take it, buddy.
But here's the thing, and here's my defense for Joel Embiid again, and not against you, but for people who say it.
Right.
About taking it. He took it and he cried. But it would have been a different story if he went in the post game and said, you know what, like, I didn't cry. It was this, it was that. But he didn't.
Right.
And that's him taking it. He just let it out in his own way, and that's that.
All good. The big thing for the 76ers going forward is next year they have to do some – look, Joel's got to work on his body in the offseason.
And you've said that too.
He's got to be maniacal about it. Like, look, LeBron James spends $1 million on his body every year or whatever. Joel's got to do the same. Diet, hyperbaric chambers, whatever. That he's a large man, and that is the thing that makes him his money. If you want to be the dominant player, you want to be in this league, you got to do that.
Yeah.
Philly's gonna have a decision to make about who they max out, whether it be Tobias or Jimmy Butler. I think it's gonna be Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
And then Ben Simmons, we know what he's got to work on in the offseason.
Exactly. Jump shot.
As we always talk about. You know, we were talking about the draft lottery, and it's interesting. We're gonna actually do we'll do a draft lottery episode or a draft episode once the playoffs start winding down.
Yeah.
But the rest of that list, I mean, look at that, right? You got the Cavs at 5, Suns, Bulls, Hawks, Wizards, Hawks again, Timberwolves, Hornets, Heat, and Celtics. Those are your lottery teams, the top 14. In many ways, the Hawks are kind of the big losers, and I feel bad for them because. So they got the 2 picks from the Luka Doncic trade to the Mavericks, right? On draft day last year to get Trae Young. But they get 8 and 10. So, okay, you get 2 top 10 picks, but again, in a draft that everyone seems to think
is
not deep. I would have loved to see Zion down in Atlanta with Trae and Herter and Lloyd Pierce and what Travis Schlenker doing down there and Collins. That would have been in Atlanta. Are you kidding? He's like Dominique Wilkins 2.0, right? I mean,
he would thrive.
It would have been great. That would have been lovely to see down there, but obviously it's not meant to be. And all this stuff is interesting, folks. I really think that we're going to see some interesting things coming out on draft day. Trades. It's going to be nutty, and then free agency.
It's going to be really good.
It's going to be crazy because a lot of teams have cap space, and we're going to want to see some moves. So I'm looking forward to seeing all of that. As we do, like we said, we'll do a show on just the draft.
Oh yeah, we'll be there
as we did last year.
Yes.
We should probably finish up with what
send us home, Jarod.
The Rockets. So they lost obviously to
was tough.
The Warriors in 6.
Tough. So the question is though, with the Rockets, because we seem to be hitting the same wall a little bit as we always talk about. Where do we go from here? Do we need to make moves? What individual players need to improve on individual things? I know. I mean, we have Chris Paul locked down this multi-year contract. Nope, nobody's going to take that. Like we always say, it's a John Wall-sized contract.
Pretty much.
Harden is obviously there to stay. PJ Tucker, no reason to move him. He's a role player.
Maybe Capella's who you move.
You know what? He seems to be the piece that can be moved, and that's about it.
Except he didn't play that well. So what's his value right now? Because he didn't play well in the playoffs.
And that's going to be a hard move to make if you have to, and that's the thing. I mean, what is going on here? Because a lot of people are saying that Harden.
Yeah.
And I've been seeing this topic a lot, and honestly, we could make a whole pod on this, but we'll keep it short here. A lot of people are saying that Harden is a great player, but he's not a playoff player.
Listen.
Does he choke in the playoffs? And Max Kellerman of First Take, First Take, said that he's not even a top 5 player.
Tough for Max. Look, I mean, James Harden might be your 2-time league MVP. We don't know yet. The decisions to be found out.
Regular season.
Yeah, regular season. Look, his playoff performances can no longer be swept under the rug.
No.
For whatever.
Now it's like, what's going on?
For whatever reason, he is not able to play the same way he plays in the postseason as he does in regular season. Now, this idea of him choking or being afraid of the big moment, as you know, I'm very careful about words and the language I use.
Of course.
When I watch him play, he doesn't look afraid to me in the big moment.
Me neither.
That's not what I see. I see him miss shots, but what are the reasons why he misses those shots?
Hey.
Is it the heavy usage all regular season, and then you can't do it again in the postseason? Like, what is it? I don't know. And I don't think it's as simple as, oh, this guy's a choke artist. This guy's Look, flat out, he has not been good in the postseason. He just hasn't been.
He hasn't been as clutch as Jimmy Butler.
Certainly hasn't. And so...
And that's a big deal.
It's... there's something there, and... Look, I don't know what the Rockets can do, really, from a team-building standpoint. Because, look, Harden's obviously... He needs help. And an aging Chris Paul...
34 years old.
He's not getting better. Like...
Next playoffs, if they make it, he'll be 35.
Chris is not getting better. So, again, where are you going from here?
That's the problem.
And I just don't know. The Capella move, and Daryl, Mr. Analytics and market inefficiency.
Numbers man.
He's going to have to exploit some kind of market inefficiency and find some good players who can do more things, who can shoot, defend, pass. I mean, they need guys who can do multiple things. They didn't have enough guys. They just don't have enough guys.
You're right.
As good as Joe Green is, and
no, you're right.
They need
and that's the
multiple
problem.
guys.
And it's really hard now that we're speaking about this that we can't figure out the exact, not the exact, but okay, when we say with the Sixers, we know, okay,
Right.
Joel needs to work on his body.
Right.
Ben needs to work on his shot.
Right.
But what do the Rockets need to do?
When you throw all your eggs into that basket and you say threes and layups are all that matters and the numbers, okay, you box yourself into a corner. And let's be fair, they got close last year. Damn close.
Hell
7
yeah.
games. And despite losing in 6, they were close this year. No game in this series was decided by more than 6 points. So they were close, right? So
yeah.
But they're still missing something.
Yeah.
To get them over that hump.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they ever find it.
Hey, you never know. We shall see. But we have so much more that we're coming up with in the coming weeks.
Cavaliers got a new head coach.
Oh, yes. Cavaliers got a head coach, too. And speaking of that, it's John
Beeline.
Jarod gave me a little lesson on how to say it before
the Michigan coach.
Michigan coach. Now, wait, were you surprised that they
Yes,
went for NCAA?
Because no one even heard this was a possibility.
Exactly. He wasn't even in the running. His name wasn't even in the hat.
Nothing.
He has a 5-year deal. He's 66, though.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're talking about the jump from college to the pros, NCAA to the pros.
Very
There's
hard.
obviously
Very
a lot
hard.
of tumultuous things with that.
Look.
What is your prediction for how this is going to come
What I'll say
out?
about Beeline is they have a lot of young guys, so that's good.
Kevin Love run team,
Except
Tristan
for Kevin
Thompson.
Love, and that's going to be his issue. Because, again, in the NBA, when you're in college, the coach is the boss of the show.
Yeah, of course.
In the NBA, the coach really isn't
Not
the boss
how
of
it
the
works.
show. That's not really how it works, okay? And Beeline's a great player development guy. He's an offensive mastermind.
I just wonder why they went with him.
Well, he's the only, I will say this, he was the only coaching candidate to meet with Cavaliers owner Dan Gilbert. So... Well.
There's that.
We'll say that. Look, it's a curious hire. I'm very interested to see what they think is going to be happening going forward with that. If you got a 5-year deal, we shall see.
We shall see. 5-year deal for the struggling Cavaliers and the LeBron-less Cavaliers who went to, what was that, Dumpster Fire City after LeBron left.
Where? What do you mean?
They just went to Dumpster Fire
Oh,
City.
yes. Oh, yeah. They are a dumpster fire. Yeah. The Cavs are,
It's problematic.
Cavs, Phoenix Suns. Although, we got some dumpster fires in the NBA right now.
We do. But what's not a dumpster fire is going to be the upcoming playoff series because it's about to get juicy.
Oh man, yeah. We'll be back to talk more conference finals, NBA finals next time we're back probably, and then we'll get rolling.
Here we go, baby. Here we go. All right. Thanks, guys, for hanging out with us. We will see you next week.
See ya.